Ladies and gentlemen, negative thinking is one of the most powerful forces working against your dreams. It holds you back, whispers doubts, and convinces you that you're not capable of achieving what you truly desire. But what if I told you that you have the ability to stop it? That by shifting your mindset, you could break free from the chains of negativity and start creating the life you've always wanted. Every negative thought you entertain is a step further from your goals, but the good news is you can change that today. It's time to recognize how these thoughts are sabotaging your future and take control. If you want to succeed, you must first master your mind. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll learn how to kill negative thinking before it kills your dreams. Don't allow negativity to run your life any longer. Take the first step toward building a positive, empowered mindset today. I won't claim this is easy. If it were, everyone would have done it already. But it is simple. And there's an important difference between something being simple and something being easy. The process is straightforward. It's the discipline that makes it challenging. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how negative thoughts come naturally? You don't have to attend a class to learn them. No one needs to teach a child how to throw a tantrum or feel envy. Negative thinking is wired into us by default. It's the path of least resistance, which is why it's so dangerous. On the other hand, positive thinking requires effort. It's a discipline, a skill you have to cultivate, strengthen, and practice daily. Think of it like tending a garden. The weeds, your negative thoughts, grow on their own. But if you want roses, you must plant, nurture, and care for them consistently. I realized long ago that success leaves clues. If you want to achieve meaningful goals, study those who already have. When you look at truly successful people, not just those with wealth, but those with deep fulfillment, you'll see one thing in common. They have trained their minds. They catch negative thoughts before those thoughts can take root and hold them back. Why is that important? Because every part of your life, your relationships, your health, your finances, your happiness, stems from the way you think. It all begins in the mind. Let me share something powerful. You are not what you think you are, rather what you think you are. Let that settle in. Your life right now is a reflection of your mindset up to this point. If you're not satisfied with what you see, it's time to shift your thinking. That's the fundamental truth. I once spoke with a man who said to me, "I've been broke for so long, I can't imagine being anything else." And I told him, that's the real problem. If you can't picture it, you can't become it. Your imagination, shaped by either positive or negative thinking, that's the boundaries of your life. Many people spend their entire existence trapped inside walls they built themselves, brick by brick, thought by thought. The saddest part? Most don't even realize they hold the key to their own freedom. I'm not here to offer a light, feel-good message about thinking positively. This runs deeper. I'm talking about the intentional, focused management of your mental space. Here's the truth. Your mind is a battleground, constantly under pressure. If you don't take control of it, something else will. Let me share a story about two wolves. An old tale says, inside each of us, two wolves are always fighting. One represents fear, doubt, limits, and failure. The other stands for hope, courage, confidence, and potential. Which wolf wins? The one you feed. Every time you dwell on a negative thought, you strengthen the wolf of limitation. But each time you choose a positive thought, you strengthen the wolf of possibility. Over time, the wolf you feed most grows stronger, and the other weakens. It's truly that simple and that powerful. But here's something many people miss. You're not obligated to accept every thought that enters your mind. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean you have to entertain it, nurture it, or let it take over your mental space. You have both the power and the responsibility to evaluate your thoughts, keep the ones that serve you, and dismiss the ones that don't. This principle can dramatically transform your life if applied consistently. What surprises me is how cautious people are about what they eat. They read labels, count calories, and avoid harmful ingredients. And that's a wise habit. You should care about what you put into your body. But what about what you feed your mind? Are you just as careful? Because honestly, the thoughts you consume could be just as important, if not more important, than the food you eat. Let me ask you, would you ever eat out of a dumpster? Of course not. Yet, when you fill your mind with negative news, gossip, or toxic conversations, that's essentially what you're doing. feeding your mind emotional junk. And then you wonder why you feel stuck or exhausted. Shutting down negative thinking starts with being highly selective about what you allow into your mental space from the very beginning. Maybe you're thinking, but I can't stop negative thoughts from popping up. And you're right, you can't always control the first thought that comes in your mind. But here's the key. You can control the second thought, the third, and everyone that follows. You decide whether that first negative thought becomes a recurring pattern or whether you replace it with something better. That's where your real power lies. Not in preventing the first thought, but in how you respond to it. Here's a simple but effective tool. When a negative thought arises, immediately ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it moving me closer to my goals or pushing me further away? That single question can break the cycle of negative thinking in an instant. It forces you to pause and reflect rather than accept the thought without challenge. The quality of your life is directly tied to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Poor questions lead to poor results. Better questions lead to a better life. When you ask, why does this always happen to me? Your mind will search for answers that make you feel like a victim. But when you change the question to, what can I learn from this? Or how can I grow through this? Your mind begins to look for insight and opportunity instead. The questions you ask yourself each day are incredibly powerful. They act like a steering wheel for your thought. And that's why it's important to ask intentional questions, ones that guide your thinking toward your goals, not your fears. One of the most harmful forms of negative thinking is what I call the comparison trap. You look at someone else's achievements, their highlight reel, and compare it to your own behind-the-scenes struggles. And you start thinking, I'll never be that good, that successful, that happy. But this mindset can seriously slow your progress. The only comparison that truly matters is between who you are today and who you were yesterday. Are you learning? Are you improving? Are you growing? That's what matters. Everything else is just noise that fuels self-doubt and negativity. Another type of negative thinking that can hold you back is something psychologists refer to as catastrophizing. It's when a small problem gets blown way out of proportion in your mind. You lose one client and suddenly imagine business falling apart. You make one mistake and think your entire reputation is ruined. This habit turns minor setbacks into imagined disasters. And the problem is your body can't tell the difference between a real threat and a made-up one. So you end up feeling all the stress, fear, and anxiety of something that isn't even happening. It's exhausting and unnecessary. Instead, when you face a challenge, train yourself to think, this is temporary, this is specific, and this does not define me or my entire life. Even a small shift in mindset like that can completely change how you deal with setbacks. And here's something else you need to remember. Negative thinking doesn't just feel bad. It costs you. It comes with real consequences. Missed opportunities, damaged relationships, poorer health, and even lost income. I've seen people talk themselves out of incredible possibilities simply because they listened to the voice in their head that said, this won't work. You're not good enough. The timing isn't right. Negative thinking is one of the most expensive habits a person can have. It can do more harm than smoking, gambling, or other destructive behaviors, because those might damage specific parts of your life, but negative thinking affects every part. That's why it must be taken seriously. Now, let's be clear about one thing. Eliminating negative thinking doesn't mean denying reality. It's not about pretending everything is fine or forcing yourself to smile through hard times. That's not the goal. What I'm talking about is approaching reality with a healthy mindset, seeing situations clearly without exaggerating them, and then choosing to direct your focus and energy toward finding solutions instead of getting stuck on the problem. It's about not just seeing what's wrong, but deciding what you're going to do about it. The truth is, the most successful people aren't the ones with the fewest problems. They're the ones who have developed strong problem-solving skills, and it all starts with how they choose to think when challenges arise. People who struggle often fall into thinking, why is this happening? This is terrible. This always happens to me. I can't deal with this. But successful thinkers face the same situation and ask different questions. What can I learn here? Where's the opportunity? How can I use this? What's my next step? Same challenge, different mindset, completely different outcomes. One of the most powerful methods for quieting negative thoughts is something I call deliberate gratitude. It's not just about being thankful when life is easy. It's about intentionally finding things to appreciate, even during difficulties. Gratitude and negativity cannot coexist. When you're truly grateful, negative thinking starts to lose its strength. So the next time your mind starts to spiral, pause and ask yourself, what are 3 things I can genuinely appreciate right now? Practicing this regularly will weaken the hold negativity has over you. Another key strategy is paying closer attention to your language, the words you use when talking to others and within your own mind. Words shape your thinking. For example, saying, I have to do this creates a sense of burden. But shifting it to I get to do this turns it into a sense of privilege or opportunity. I have to go to work versus I get to go to work. Notice the difference? One builds stress, the other builds perspective. One leaves you feeling trapped, the other reminds you of your access to opportunities many only dream of. Your words influence your mindset, your emotions, your actions, and eventually your results. Be intentional with the language you choose. It's either helping you move forward or quietly holding you back. Now, let me share a concept that significantly impacted my life: the slight edge. The idea is simple yet powerful. Success and failure usually aren't the result of major events. They come from small decisions made consistently over time. Reading just 10 pages of a good book every day might seem insignificant, but in 1 year, that's about 3,650 pages, or roughly 18 books. Stick with that for 5 years and you have read nearly 90 books, more than someone who never started. That's a serious advantage in knowledge, growth, and mindset. Now consider the opposite. One negative thought may seem harmless at first, but repeated daily, it forms a belief. That belief shapes a negative perspective, and that perspective, left unchecked, creates a negative life. That's the slight edge working against you. On the other hand, consistently reinforcing one positive thought builds a positive belief, which shapes a healthy perspective and eventually leads to a positive life. Same principle, 2 completely different outcomes. The key takeaway is this: where you will be in 5 years depends largely on the small mental decisions you make today, tomorrow, and every day after. Success isn't something you own, it's something you rent. And the rent is due daily, paid through consistent, positive, intentional thinking. When discussing overcoming negative thinking, some people misunderstand the message. They assume it means you should never have a negative thought again, but that's not realistic. Negative thoughts will still appear. The real question is, what will you do when they do? Think of negative thoughts as uninvited guests knocking on your door. You can't stop them from knocking, but you don't have to invite them in. You don't need to entertain them or make them comfortable. Acknowledge them briefly, then send them away. One effective method for doing this is called thought interruption. When you catch yourself slipping into negative thinking, intentionally break the pattern and replace it with a prepared positive alternative. You're training your mind to say, no, I'm not going down that path. I'm choosing a better one. This could be as simple as saying, this thought doesn't serve me, or I'm focusing on what I can control. The important thing is to have these counter statements ready before you need them. When negative thinking tries to take hold, you'll have a quick and powerful response. With practice, this becomes automatic. What begins as a conscious effort gradually becomes a mental habit, and that's when real change happens. When positive thinking becomes as automatic as negative thinking once was. Let me introduce you to a powerful exercise to accelerate this transformation. It's called the evening review, and it's something I've practiced for years. At the end of each day, take a few moments of quiet reflection. Ask yourself, where did negative thinking appear today? What triggered it? How did I respond? What impact did it have on my actions or mood? This exercise is not about self-criticism, but about raising your awareness. Because what you become aware of, you can change. What remains hidden, however, continues to control you. By consistently reviewing your day, you'll begin to notice patterns. Maybe negative thoughts arise when you're tired, stressed, or after certain interactions. This awareness gives you power. You can prepare for these situations, strengthen your mindset, and respond intentionally instead of out of habit. Now, here's something you might find surprising. Sometimes what seems like negative thinking is actually your mind trying to process something important. When you experience a setback or disappointment, It's normal and even healthy to feel bad for a short time. You need that time to process, reflect, and learn. That's not negative thinking, that's wisdom. Negative thinking arises when you remain stuck in that place, when disappointment becomes your mental home rather than just a stop along your journey. That's why I practice what I call the 24-hour rule. When something truly upsetting happens, give yourself a full 24 hours to feel, process, and learn from it. But after that, make a decision to move forward. Shift your focus from what happened to what you're going to do next, from the problem to the solution, from the past to the future. This approach gives you the space to feel your emotions without letting the moment define your mindset going forward. It balances emotional honesty with mental discipline, and it's a game changer. Now let's discuss something that many people overlook when it comes to eliminating negative thinking, the connection between your physical health, body, and mind. When your body is drained, your mental defenses are weakened. That's when negative thoughts can easily slip in. This is why regular exercise, good nutrition, quality sleep, and stress management aren't just physical self-care, they are mental tools. They lay the foundation for positive thinking to thrive. In my own life, I've noticed that when I exercise, eat clean, and get enough rest, my mind is clearer, I feel stronger, more focused, and more optimistic. On days when I skip these basics, negative thoughts tend to show up more frequently and are harder to shake. It's not just about mood, it's about chemistry and biology. So if you want to overcome negative thinking, your body needs to be a key part of your plan. This isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Another critical strategy is what I call intentional environment design. This means creating surroundings, both physical and social, that naturally encourage positive thinking. This includes the people you spend time with. You've probably heard the saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This doesn't just apply to money or success, it also applies to your mindset. If you're surrounded by people who complain, gossip, or focus on negativity, that energy will inevitably rub off on you. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. However, if you spend time with people who think positively, look for solutions, and believe in growth, their mindset will strengthen yours. Their courage will feed your courage. This idea extends to your information environment as well. What you read, watch, and listen to, whether it's the news, social media, books, or podcasts, shapes your mindset. These inputs either reinforce a positive outlook or amplify negative thinking. So be extremely selective about the content you allow into your mind. The principle is simple. If you consume low-quality content, you'll get poor results. But if you consume high-quality content, you'll think and feel better. It's as straightforward as that. Let me share a personal experience. Several years ago, I decided to begin each morning by reading something uplifting or motivational for at least 30 minutes before checking the news, emails, or messages. This simple habit has likely done more to eliminate negative thinking from my life than almost anything else. By feeding my mind with encouraging, empowering content first thing in the day, I set my mindset to focus on opportunities rather than problems, and on solutions instead of setbacks. While I still stay informed about current events, I no longer allow the often negative tone of the news to be my main influence. I encourage you to consider adopting a similar routine. Give your mind positive, nourishing input before exposing it to the mental equivalent of junk food. Your morning routine is like setting your GPS for the day. If you start with negative content, don't be surprised if your mindset follows a negative path. Now, let's dive deeper into overcoming negative thinking by addressing the core beliefs that fuel these thoughts. While it's helpful to replace negative thoughts with positive ones, it's even more effective to shift the underlying beliefs that produce them. For example, if you believe success is rare and difficult to achieve, you'll naturally have discouraging thoughts every time you aim high. You can try to counter these thoughts one by one, but they will persist as long as the root belief remains unchanged. However, if you replace that belief with something like, success is the result of consistent, focused effort, you'll start to notice empowering thoughts emerging more effortlessly. So this is about treating the cause, not just the symptom. So how do you change these foundational beliefs? It begins with conscious reflection and intentional rethinking. Start by identifying the negative beliefs that fuel your unhelpful thoughts. These may be about your abilities, your potential, how life works, or what you believe you deserve. Once you've pinpointed a limiting belief, ask yourself, Is this belief truly accurate, or have I accepted it without questioning it? What real evidence exists that contradicts this belief? What examples, from my own life or others, show that this belief is not universally true? Once you identify these examples, consciously replace the limiting belief with an empowering one. This isn't about wishful thinking or naive optimism. It's about adopting a belief that is both positive and grounded in evidence and possibility. For instance, instead of thinking, I'm not good at public speaking, try adopting the belief, public speaking is a skill I can improve with practice and preparation. Similarly, instead of thinking, I always mess up new opportunities, you might adopt the belief, every experience, whether it goes as planned or not, teaches me valuable lessons that make me more capable. Once you've formulated a new belief, it's crucial to reinforce it daily. Write it down, say it aloud, and actively seek evidence that supports it. Act as though this new belief is already true for you. Over time, this empowering belief will replace the old limiting one, and the negative thoughts tied to it will gradually fade away. This process of belief reconstruction is more challenging than simply countering negative thoughts as they arise, but it's also far more transformative because it addresses the root cause rather than just managing the symptoms. Let me share another practice that has been immensely impactful in my journey, serving others. When your focus is on adding value to someone else's life, it becomes much harder to maintain negative thought patterns. Shifting your attention away from your own problems and limitations and redirecting it toward helping others fundamentally alters your mental perspective. Selfishness and negative thinking are often intertwined, while service and positive thinking go hand in hand. This doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It could be as simple as finding small ways each day to improve someone else's life. Whether it's encouraging someone who's struggling, sharing knowledge to help someone overcome a challenge, or listening empathetically to someone in need, these acts of service benefit the recipient, but also transform the giver. They make it significantly harder to maintain a self-centered negative mindset because they consistently guide your focus outward in a positive direction. On days when negative thoughts start to creep in, one of the most effective ways to respond is by looking for an opportunity to help someone else. It's nearly impossible to stay stuck in negativity when you're focused on adding value to someone else's life. As we near the end, I'd like to address something important. Eliminating negative thoughts doesn't mean you'll never have another negative thought. It's neither the goal nor is it realistic. The goal is to build such strong mental habits and positive routines that negative thinking no longer dominates your mind. Think of it like physical fitness. A fit person isn't someone who never feels tired. They've simply developed the strength and endurance to handle physical challenges that would overwhelm someone who hasn't built those capacities. Similarly, mental fitness isn't about never having negative thoughts. It's about building mental strength and resilience to the point where negative thoughts no longer control or define your perspective. You can recognize them when they arise, but choose to think in a more empowering way instead. Just like physical fitness, mental fitness requires consistent practice. You don't develop physical strength by exercising once, and you don't build mental strength by practicing positive thinking occasionally. It's the small, consistent actions, the daily habits that lead to long-term transformation. Let me leave you with this final thought. Overcoming negative thinking isn't just about feeling better, though that's certainly a benefit. It's about becoming capable of creating the life you truly want because you can only achieve what you first envision in your mind. Negative thinking limits your vision. It tells you that you can't, that you shouldn't, that you're not good enough. As long as you accept these thoughts, you remain confined by the limits they impose. Positive thinking, however, expands your possibilities. It opens doors that negative thinking claims are closed. It reveals opportunities that negativity hides and connects you with people and resources that negativity would push away. Your thinking shapes your experience far more than your external circumstances. Two people can face the same situation and experience it completely differently, simply based on how they think about it. So I challenge you today to make a firm decision about the type of thoughts you will allow to occupy your mind. Will you continue letting negative thinking limit your life? Or will you start right now to replace it with something better? The choice is yours, and it's an important one. While you can't always control what happens to you, you can always control how you think about what happens, and that ultimately makes all the difference. Remember, success isn't something you chase after, it's something you attract by becoming the right kind of person. And the person you become is shaped thought by the quality of your thinking each day. So, start today, begin small. If you catch a negative thought, replace it with a positive one. Do this today, tomorrow, and the day after. These small daily victories over negative thinking will add up and transform your mindset over time, and as a result, your life. You already have everything you need to start this journey. You have the ability to observe your thoughts. You also have the power to choose which thoughts you entertain and which you dismiss. You can create new, empowering beliefs and thinking patterns. What's needed now is your decision to take responsibility for the quality of your thinking and commit to the daily discipline of eliminating negative thoughts before they hinder your dreams. Thank you for your time today. I hope your journey toward mental excellence brings you the joy, success, and fulfillment you seek. Now that you understand the power of your thoughts, it's time to ask yourself, are you ready to let go of the negativity that has been holding you back? Are you ready to take control of your mind and shape the future you truly deserve? Eliminating negative thinking isn't just about feeling better. It's a transformative decision that empowers you to take action, unlock opportunities, and embrace a mindset that leads to success. Don't let another day go by, allowing self-doubt and fear to waste your potential. The moment you decide to shift your thinking is the moment everything changes. So take that first step. Make that choice today and watch as your life begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. It's time to eliminate negative thinking and unleash the power of a positive, unstoppable mindset. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this powerful thought. The moment you decide to let go of negative thinking is the moment everything in your life begins to shift. Your dreams are waiting for you, but they can only be realized when you free yourself from the self-doubt and fear that hold you back. Every day that you continue to entertain negativity is a day you're letting your potential slip away. But here's the truth, it's not too late to change. You have the power to transform your mindset and unlock a future you've always dreamed of. So ask yourself, are you going to let negative thinking continue to sabotage your progress, or will you take control and build the mindset that will lead you to success? The choice is yours, and it's one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. Don't let your negative thoughts kill your dreams. Take action now and watch as your life begins to unfold in ways you never thought possible. The time to make that change is now, because your future is waiting and it's time to start living it.